Professor Meng, please.
Thank you. Good evening to all our heads of institutions, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to be sharing with you some of our thoughts relating to trying to get a successful grant approved. I'm Helen MENG, chairman of the assessment panel. Let me share my screen. So I'm going to go through how an application is assessed. Now let me start with the workflow. Okay, so can you see my mouse moving? Are you able to see that? Okay. So you can see that this is actually a workflow that we go through with every proposal. Okay, so with every proposal, we have a subject convener who assign readers for the proposal. And then the first reader will nominate external reviewers. But this step is not applicable for the IDS Research Infrastructure Grant. Then we obtain external reviewers' assessments and the ratings of the proposals. And the first or second or maybe even third readers, in some cases, would consider all of those. And also, of course, form their own opinions. Then we will have an assessment panel meeting where we discuss all the proposals and also finalize the rating. So in fact, a lot of effort is devoted to this part. We have very long meetings, and our whole team of panel members actually go through a lot of the proposals and go in depth into many of the discussions. Then the panel will recommend the decisions to the steering committee. And finally, we will go through the funding approval procedures by RGC. So I'd like to highlight the fact that we actually implement a peer review mechanism, and also wish to emphasize that, in fact, the assessment panel holistically examine every proposal before making decisions. Now I'm going to cover the assessment criteria of different schemes in the self-funded sector, starting with the Faculty Development Scheme, the FDS. So the objective of the FDS is to develop the research capability of individual academics so that they can transfer their research experiences and new knowledge into teaching and learning. In fact, one of the key motivations is we want the research to inform teaching. Of course, research is not limited to just informing teaching, but this was one of the desiderata at the very beginning of the formation of the FDS scheme. I also wish to emphasize that this whole consideration is a merit-based assessment, and academic quality is the primary evaluation criterion. And here we show the assessment criteria. So the objective and research agenda is very important. So you always start some work with an objective, with a goal in mind, and then you develop your agenda based on trying to reach that goal. And as you do so, you must design your research and methodology. So you must try to find a way, a methodology to reach the goal that you have chosen. And you must be able to convince that your design and methodology is feasible. And obviously, it must be an innovative idea, because if someone has already done all that work, then the proposal, the solution exists, and maybe that deducts marks from trying to convince that this is worthwhile funding, right? So it must be innovative. And furthermore, we hope that in achieving the objective, one also has made research impact. Now, regarding research impact, it is defined as the demonstrable contributions beneficial effects, valuable changes, or advantages that the research qualitatively brings to the economy, to the society, to culture, public policy or services, health, the environment or quality of life, and that are beyond the academia. It may also include social and economic impact and research that may translate into products and services, as well as research that aligns with important policy, community, and social objectives. Now, let me share with you some of our panel's observation on the FDS. So the quality of the proposals actually varied across different subjects. Some proposals were quite well written with clear objectives, rigorous research designs, and feasible implementations. And the findings might lead to knowledge advancement, policy change, and innovations in teaching and learning. The principal investigators are advised to set out definite objectives, to develop a theoretically interesting and important conceptual framework, as well as to provide a flawless, well thought out and articulated methodology. The panel also emphasizes the importance of novelty and feasibility of the proposals. Now, in fact, some proposals come from green PIs, and in fact, the proposals that we have seen were generally quite well written with good experimental planning. The green PIs are advised to propose reliable research questions or hypotheses to support the study and to build up valid track record before attempting to explore relatively competitive areas. Regarding the budget plan, it should be prudent. The PIs are advised to provide strong justification for the funding request, particularly for hiring supporting staff at senior levels, such as senior research assistant or research associates, or asking for further funding for teaching relief if provisions have already been given in previous funded projects. The sharing of facilities or equipment is strongly encouraged to fully utilize the available resources. PIs should follow the relevant and prevailing practice of their institutions to handle intellectual property rights, copyrights, and/or patents that are generated from the funded projects. In addition, we wish to encourage the PIs to engage undergraduate students in FDS projects in order to provide the undergraduate students with training opportunities and apply for the related allowance of about $2,500 per month for up to 10 months in a year. And of course, also to apply for teaching relief in order to relieve the PIs from heavy teaching load where necessary. Now I'm going to move on to the IIDS, the Interinstitutional Development Scheme. The objective of IIDS is to enhance academics' research capability and to keep them abreast of new developments and challenging research topics in relevant fields through the organization of workshops or short courses on an institutional or joint institutional basis. And again, intellectual merit is an important assessment criterion. And here you can see the, again, the assessment criteria encompassing objectives, the proposed research-related activities, the feasibility, and the impact. So these are the dimensions to which the reviewers would devote their attention in evaluation. Now, regarding the panel's observation on IIDS, we found that the overall quality of the proposals was similar to the last round of exercise. Comparatively, the submissions under the engineering subject and the humanities and social sciences subject had higher quality. The proposed activities should enhance academic inspiration and knowledge exchange and arouse research interests of the academics. The PIs are advised to specify the expected contribution of the proposed speakers and the synergetic outcomes of the proposed activities and the academic impact of the proposals on future development of the research agenda, and also to include a knowledge dissemination plan. The proposed networking activities should allow for sufficient time for establishing a more in-depth collaboration. Excessive number of seminars or conferences should be avoided. And of course, during this very special time where we are affected globally by the pandemic, there should be a contingency plan that should be drawn up in case the physical activities could not be conducted as scheduled. Now I'm going to move on to the Iids, Institutional Development Scheme Research Infrastructure Grant. Now, the objective of the Iids Research Infrastructure Grant is to build up the research capacity of the local self-financing degree awarding institutions in their strategic areas. This is an important point, to build up the strategic areas. And here are the assessment criteria: long-term impact and sustainability, expected deliverables and likelihood of building up the research capacity of the institution in the strategic areas, the feasibility and implementation strategy, and also the financial arrangement. Now, to share with you some of the panel's observations. The Research Infrastructure Grant aims to build up the research capacity of the self-financing institutions in the strategic areas, so the proposal should clearly state the priority of the strategic development, the justifications of the proposed setup, and possible coverage of beneficiaries and linkage of the proposed infrastructure with the research theme. The proposals must have clear objectives, timely and vital research topics, clearly stated impact and deliverables, and well-thought implementation plan. Comments from external reviewers may also help identify the strengths and the weaknesses of the ideas. The research deliverables are expected to contribute to academic development, knowledge transfer, or knowledge enhancement. It is recommended to include a knowledge dissemination plan in the proposal. And one of the purposes of the Research Infrastructure Grant was to nurture young researchers. And so project teams are advised to provide an engagement plan to incentivize young researchers to develop their research skills. And budget requests for supporting staff should also be well justified. Next is the Iids Collaborative Research Grant. This one aims to encourage collaboration among local self-financing degree awarding institutions, as well as collaboration across disciplines within an institution. So here are the dimensions for consideration. First of all, academic merit, then the long-term goal, and the proposal to develop the research topic into an area of strength. Also, the opportunities for effective synergies among participating researchers, research groups, and institutions, the viability of the proposal, and the research impact. Regarding the panel's observation, we found that most proposals paid high attention to the details of the project implementation, but in general, there is a bit of a shortage in describing the potential impact of the proposals. The project teams are advised to have thorough consideration on how the research outcome could impact knowledge advancement and enhancement of research capacity in teaching and learning. Some of the proposals were very innovative and novel, and project teams are advised to provide more explanations for the methodologies and the roles of the team members in each task or sub-study, to provide preliminary data from pilot studies to support the hypothesis, and to elaborate on how the data from different studies could be linked together under the stated theoretical framework. Also, some project teams comprised of senior and green researchers with expertise in different areas. bringing together ideas and insights from diverse disciplines. Project teams are advised to demonstrate how the collaboration could create new synergetic effect during the process. Also, project teams are encouraged to establish interdisciplinary collaborations among different local self-financing institutions. Again, the teams are reminded that the proposal submitted under the collaborative research grant must be cross-institutional and or cross-disciplinary. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Meng.